Now, Ready or Not, tactical shooter game, right? Typically, tactical shooter games like Tarkov, pretty difficult, a little bit harder on the gameplay side. Well, with Ready or Not, one button is all you need to solve every single one of your problems. Middle mouse button, send in everyone in your team, and everyone in the room just dies. It's that easy because it fucking works. It just works. As you can see here, everyone is dead in literally less than 5 seconds from when I enter the building. Now, first mission starts out with a call. The call goes something like this.
Listen up. At around 2300, we received multiple 911 calls from the 4U gas station at 5th and Van Drake and Southside. We believe this to be a stick-up robbery with multiple armed suspects. At this current time, we don't know the condition of 4U manager Mudassir Varma or Charla Layton, with both calling in during the robbery along with multiple other civilians in the premises, including Charla's daughter, Crystal Layton. First responders began locking down on the scene at 2340, containing the area for D Platoon's arrival. An officer on scene reported the sound of gunshots at 2345 within the main building. We can identify all 3 suspects on the scene: Andre Williams, Zion Pretlow, and Jaden Fletcher. All have their own run-ins with the law for drug-related offenses or violent crimes. Be advised, some or all may be under the influence of methamphetamine and incredibly erratic. This potentially showing their true motives to feed a lethal addiction, even with the stick-up being high risk. We can assume their move was calculated, with DeBanco stopping by before the robbery for regular pickup of cash stored on the premises. DeBanco's employees are known to be at risk during their shifts, with many criminal acts committed against them, such as assault and attempted robberies. Along with the front entrance into the store, there's a second method of entry into the diner side area on the northern side. If both locations aren't viable options, there are 2 alternate entry points on both sides of the building. One may require a key card used by employees. You should be able to find it in a Knox box on scene. Suspects may have broken away from the main building into the side garage on the eastern side. Exercise caution when moving around the exterior. It is unlikely the suspects are wearing armor. They are armed and have demonstrated their intent to cause harm. We do know at least one of the suspects is carrying a 9mm semi-automatic pistol, as described by a witness. Remember to only use lethal force on what you deem as an imminent threat to you or your element, as well as civilians present at the scene. Plan and coordinate your actions accordingly. And get to work.
You are sent into a convenience store, gas station, yada, 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 same sort of thing. You're sent in to go after a robbery gone wrong. A daughter and her mother are calling the police, along with the owner/manager of the store, who you find later on has been, let's put it lightly, got a haircut. Right there in that massive region, right there, right where his head used to be, that is a haircut. So, obviously, given the fact that they blew someone's head off, they're obviously pretty scared, riled up, had to come in, take care of that. It's a whole thing, okay? You eventually find the daughter. She's hiding away in what is supposedly a freezer. Eventually, you get everybody calmed down, get the situation settled. You also find a dead guy and his dog who tried fighting back, which did not work out. I can't say anything more than this. There's 2 corpses right next to each other. There's literally nothing else I could say about this whole situation that would just infatuate more, or a better word would probably be show off more of what any of this means than the fact that he just didn't do it right. If you want to use that word, we'll use that word. The next mission is called 23 megabytes a second. The call begins, at least the mission does, begin with a call.
All right, everyone, need your attention. Operators just received a 911 call from an individual within an apartment complex in St. Uriel this morning, detailing a brewing hostage situation. It seems that Michael Williams has barricaded himself in his apartment along with his brother DeMarcus. He also shot and killed his mother, Cassandra Williams. The call was brief, but gave us information regarding his potential mental state.
Has anyone tried to regain contact with Michael?
The call bounced when attempted. and calls from negotiators outside have fallen on deaf ears. It sounds like Michael may be firing a weapon inside his room, and we've received multiple reports of gunfire from other individuals within the complex. The building has a single entry through the main atrium. There's also a second entry point through a fire escape nearby, which should allow quick access to the other levels without exposure to your teams within the atrium. The watch commander is on scene and has patrol holding perimeter positions. Thames is staging at the command post. Currently, they're awaiting our arrival to make entry, as the situation has been deemed dangerous, and no communication can be established.
Do we know of any other threats within this space?
Michael's apartment is number 14, and so far we've managed to confirm that rooms 16, 11, and 12 are all currently inhabited but closed off. Those residents have either been evacuated or are sheltering in place. However, we were unable to make contact with apartments 13 and 15, both of which are under the ownership of Michael Williams at this time. It is unknown if he is still barricaded with his family in 14 or has moved into one of the other rooms to ambush. We are not aware of any other threats. It seems to just be one guy. All right, let's roll.
Now, I personally, when I first played 23 megabytes a second, I thought that this was originally like a swatting thing. I had no idea that this was about a actual, like, full-on Dr. Disrespect, son of him type of person. I honestly, I did not even look through what the computer was because I didn't even know that there were 3 soft objectives first. I thought there was only 2, which was the server farm, which I guess is just like bit mining, or the PC, which I guess, you know, obviously if you're going to be swatting somebody, you check the PC. But what is insane about this mission is the fact that, one, I mean, the Bitcoin farm, where he has 2 full apartments set up for that, by the way, which is utterly crazy. And then we go into his room, and on top of having children, pictures of children, he has a drawer full of pictures of children. He on his stream, which he's currently streaming in the game, he has a full fucking view on a second monitor of him trading these illicit images of children with a friend on live on stream on a second fucking monitor. And on top of that, on top of all of that, in the background of his stream, you can see the massive fucking just cupboard full of illicit child images, just right in view of his entire fucking stream. How did nobody find this out? His name is fucking Milky Toes. How is nobody finding this guy out? I love the world building of Ready or Not. It genuinely has the greatest world building I've experienced in a game in a long time. But this is fucking insane. How do you have a streamer named Milky Toes who is actively trading cheese pizza on his second monitor while streaming with a camera pointed at him, and on top of pointed at him, pointed directly to a fucking cupboard full of illicit child images? That's fucking insane. How did this guy get away with it for that long? I stream, right? I have one viewer max 99% of the time. This guy, probably thousands, given the amount of people scrolling through his chat message, like on stream, and he's just doing this shit live without any repercussions. It's fucking crazy. Now, as you're walking through the home, you eventually find that he has illicit child images in a cupboard, as well as he's currently trading those images on a Discord call while also being on stream. Now, as you move throughout the home, you see a lot of Gooner images, a lot of Gooner statues, you know, fan service, that sort of thing. Around the house, you find that. Eventually, you go into the brother's room, which he has a fursuit head, which kind of confirms that he's a furry, which, like, who cares? I mean, look at me. But what's even funnier about the fact that you go into his room is that he has 3 monitors all set up, all doing diagnostics, all with separate versions of a diagnostic on 3 separate monitors. What are you talking about? What do you mean? It's insane. This whole mission is a fucking fever dream. It is genuinely the craziest mission in the game, because not anything about like the thing that I was talking about, the 3 fucking monitors all pulling up the same like different diagnostics. How does this guy get away with this for probably years, given how famous he is? It's genuinely just like something with me. It's like I can't pin it anywhere. This is insane. This is fucking crazy. What are you talking about? What do you mean? I have to stop before I keep going on and on and on about just like this one mission. I could honestly talk about this for an hour. This is the most insane mission ever. Do you know how many people have been outed recently for being into this shit? And this guy is just doing it in the comfort of his home, by the way, and also actively streaming while doing it, and having in the background images of him doing it. What do you mean? Like, this is, how, okay, this is just like a little rant. How do people like this get famous? I'm over here scrounging at Walmart money, and we have John Child Diddler getting fucking, I'm getting angry at a fake person. This is insane. This is fucking crazy. Also, turns out, editing Zell here, there is evidence of a Miku figurine covered in, I'll put it lightly, DNA. Yeah, take of that as what you will with this game. This next mission is called Twisted Nerves, and it starts with a call.
Gear up, boys. Our detectives just hit the jackpot following a new lead for methamphetamine production in 213 Park and need some door kickers for the job. They booked this tweaking gangbanger for shooting up a 4U station the other day. The fool had a note in his pocket all about this meth lab in 213 Park. He was planning on spending his earnings from the robbery up there.
How do we know it's legit?
Good question. Well, as our luck would have it, a uniformed patrol just happened to drive near the house a few days ago and picked up what they presumed was a hit-and-run victim by the side of the road. It turned out he was a runner for the guys that run the neighborhood. He admitted everything while in the back of the ambulance. He was in a bad way and wanted to clear his conscience. He'd pocketed the cash from this big deal he'd overseen. He was planning on skipping town with this hooker or something like that. They tortured him in the attic of this house and left him for dead. Once the hospital got him stabilized, he sang like a bird. He told us everything he could about this place in exchange for immunity.
What sort of premises are we dealing with?
We're dealing with multiple. There are 2 properties, both empty.
Let's get it done.
One went into foreclosure and somehow got lost in the bank's systems. Nobody's touched it since. The second is a house just to the north. The family was killed during a robbery on their way to the airport. The house was being fumigated, and it sat that way empty ever since. Nobody seems to want the thing, but they're just the top layer. Our boy Reese managed to explain that there's a secret garage built under the property. That's where the heaviest footfall is happening. That's where we need to be. We've got the house under surveillance, but Reese gave us the core opening hours. That's when we move. The orders are to arrest at least 2 suspects at the property for detectives to pursue this investigation. We nail them and get this lab shut down, and it's a big check in the win column. We won't be welcome in this part of town. I'm sure most of you here know how its residents feel about police presence, so this will be a big crackdown. Be advised that we have no information on suspects or civilians other than the possibility many will be under the influence of methamphetamine and be highly erratic and potentially violent on contact. Not to mention gang activity, meaning the presence of firearms on persons within the meth house, so I would advise you proceed with extreme caution. We don't want to cause a riot, and lethal force is only permissible as a defensive measure. Am I clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I want us to split into 3 teams. First team, I want you to take the first property. Sweep it. Arrest anybody that gets in your way. I want that house cleared and the garage held. Nobody gets in and nobody gets out until we've processed them. This mission is just as much about making a statement to the 213 district as it is about anything else.
So, there are 3 special parts to this mission that make it somehow even less insane than the last one. Now, the first thing you're supposed to do is you're supposed to find 2 meth labs, arrest 2 suspects, and then after, you have to find the money cache, a incapacitated miner that is currently tweaking the fuck out on a bed, and then you have to find a meth cache, which is just same house. Now, this mission, a little bit different than the other ones. The other ones had a bit more verticality to them, and this one is incredibly close quarters because you're in a house. And on top of you're in a house full of... I cannot put this any lighter than it is. Meth addicts. Just full stop meth addicts. They're all on methamphetamines. Like, that's just unironically what they're on. And because of that, they're running around, most of them shirtless, and just taking shots to the chest. To the point where, in-game, this is where you start getting more mechanics getting put in front of you. This mechanic, specifically, is where they play dead. Now, because they play dead, they will drop from one shot, doesn't matter where, except for if you shoot them in the head, you know, obviously, that's a given. Afterwards, they will drop down to the floor and have an overreactive, just exaggeration of getting shot. Typically, you'll have someone groaning in pain. You'll have someone screaming their fucking head off, and then they'll just drop to the floor and act like nothing happened. That's when you know that they're not actually dead, and you need to restrain them, and then they'll just sit back up like nothing happened at all. Now, this next mission called Spider starts with, you know, yet another call.
All right, everybody ready to roll. So, if you guys haven't been told yet, CID finally received the decrypted metadata from those marked MindJot drives that we seized a week or so ago. The data from the images on the drives corroborates information our guys have put together on a small operation running out of the row. We're heading over to 7408 Martinez Boulevard with a warrant for the arrest of George Brixley. Current intel, our target has a prior conviction for kidnapping. Did some time in Leavenworth, about 3 years. He also has a prior felony for conspiracy and sexual assault. He's not going to want to go back to jail. Brixley has firearms training, and we assume he's going to be armed. The structure we will be entering has some quirks to it. Jackson, the intel you gathered last night, what's up with this place?
He's running some sort of talent agency, around the clock, all week. Weekends are his busiest times, so minimum 1 female in the building. Likely more. Could be children, too.
Okay, so we could have kids in there. Moving on, the structure has 3 known entrances. One on the main road, side one, that goes through the reception. One on the 3rd side of the building, and one on the 4th side. We don't know much about the internal space. Floor plans we've got are from the former owners of the building, who had it set up as a clinic. Speaking of clinics, medical. We'll have RAs on scene, as well as pediatric ambulances in case there are any kids. Primary hospital is going to be YMH. Secondary, if we have multiple patients, is going to be Coastal Grove Medical Center. For radio, we're going to be operating on TAC 5 Central Tactical. Make sure your radios are set to TAC 5. Backup channel is going to be TAC 1. Good to go. Okay. Question time. Anyone?
What's our go for use of NFDDs?
Interior deployment is authorized based on assessed need. Bang a room if you have to. Anyone else? Perfect. All right, let's go. Remember to watch your mouth. Everything is being recorded. All the time.
This next mission is a bit different. It doesn't really have any special objectives outside of giving you yet another objective that they're basically teaching you how to learn. This objective is one where you are made to apprehend one suspect alive. George Brixley. He is a talent agent, quote unquote. He typically uses the mother's lower stance in the class of the world to... I'm trying to put this as YouTube friendly as possible. Get pictures of those children in funny little ways. He uses this to obviously get his own little sick kicks off of it, as well as sell it to other people, which I don't mean this in any other way than if you are a mom, right, and you go into this talent agency and you're like, hey, can I go use the bathroom? Yeah, sure, of course. You go to the bathroom, and in the bathroom, you see a giant fucking poster with a kid's face crossed out with a star on it, and it says, you are a star, and there's just psycho shit all over the wall. I feel like at that point, it's kind of your fault for letting your kid fall into this. Because what the fuck are you doing? What do you mean? What are you talking about? On top of that, there are also scantily clad outfits just around the place. You can see in the video, you can just see like very, 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 very scantily clad outfits. Like Fallout 4 modding level of outfits, Gooner level of outfits, just like plastered around, and you just don't, oh, this is a good idea for my kid to be here. Yeah, okay, yeah. I see where this went wrong. This next mission is called Lethal Obsession, and it begins with another call.
All right, boys, listen up. We all heard about the shooting down at the McCade station. We got 3 officers fighting for their lives, and 3 have already lost theirs. But we have something else, too. We got the name and probable location of the son of a bitch who did this. We've also got the pleasure of being the ones who get to get him. Settle down. What we know about the events earlier today is that Gerard Scott set up an ambush by lighting a car on fire near the McCade station. He lay in wait, and when the police arrived, he opened fire on them with a rifle. Scott then fled the scene in an RV. A member of the public who was nearby when the shooting started got the license plate, which we've traced to a compound up on Sullivan Slope. Scott's details are coming through to your tablets. We don't know much about this guy. He used to work for the USIA in an office-based role. He has no family, no friends, and apparently no known acquaintances. He wasn't even known to us until today. We got nothing to work with, no motive, no history of law enforcement. All we know is that this guy likes to keep to himself. He's already shown he's not afraid to shoot at cops, so I doubt he's going to welcome us with open arms. Be careful up there. I do not want to be responsible for the chaplain showing up at anyone else's wife's door today. I understand that emotions are going to be high, but we do not know what we are walking into. I want us to be swift and sensible. He's shown that he has serious firepower, and we need to be ready for anything. Something triggered him, and that makes him a very dangerous individual. Now gear up and report back to your element leaders in the garage in 5 minutes.
Now, like most Ted Kaczynskoids, this whole mission is a complete fucking fever dream. The entire mission is almost completely just a fucking hellhole. They built the entire home to be a Faraday cage, so obviously you're not going to be able to understand anything that's going on within the home. On top of that, they decided to introduce yet another mechanic. This one is a giant fucking bomb.
Talk to entry team. Objectives failed. This one's a warning. Top reporting. Mission failed.
Just a bomb, a literal bomb, just on the floor that kills you instantly. Now, you'll notice that when you walk through that door, you die instantly. There's no way to get away from it. Back away from the door, nothing happens. Well, you know, your legs get blown off, but I mean, you know, walk through the door, instant die. Just instantly die. That's it. That's all that happens. Now, on top of that, you also have to deal with, actually, the least amount of people in the game so far. Only 3 people, which just seem to be the family, or at least the buddies of this guy, who is just a fucking psycho. That's all I can say about that. Anyways, that aside, eventually you'll enter the home, and as you move through the just covered in paper and everything, telling everyone what's going on, you'll eventually find that he is hiding in the basement along with his friends, and they're all making ricin, which typically is used to poison people. They are putting it inside of soda bottles to spray at people who they don't enjoy or like or think are good. And then they kill them. That's just what they do. So afterwards, after you finish that, you'll eventually find that they also have some federal documents that they took while they were firing at the police officers earlier. Which, is like kind of illegal. There's like this whole thing going on about it with like the president and everything. It's pretty illegal. I can tell you that much. This next mission is called Ides of March, and it begins with, another call.
All right, we've got a roll. This just came in. There have been multiple calls coming in of an incident over in Brisa Cove Memorial Park, an assassination attempt on Senator Cornelius Fremont. This guy's supposed to be running for president in the next election, so I'm sure you can all appreciate how much we don't need this to turn to shit right now. The senator was holding a rally in the park when the shooting happened. Security was on site, but the shots came from further afield. Reports indicate it came from a building south of the park. Early details say there are several suspects holed up on the 12th floor. We don't have much to work with, but we do know that the senator has received a few threats in recent weeks from a veterans group who were unhappy with the decision to cut VA hospital funding, a bill the senator heavily supported. The senator is no longer on site, and uniforms have already cordoned off Memorial Park. I want us to hit that building and flush out whoever is up there. I know you can do jobs like this in your sleep, but I can't stress how badly we need this dealt with quickly and cleanly. We've already cleared the building to the 12th floor. Now it's up to us to go in there and search every apartment that has a view of the park, however marginal. I want guys on the roof and everywhere in between. Keep in contact, and for God's sake, communicate with one another as you go. I won't have anything falling through the cracks on this one. Any questions?
What's the status of the senator?
Last update was that he's alive, but barely. They got him good. Now, there's no time for sitting around. The building's plans are being uploaded as we speak. Familiarize yourselves with them before we head out. All right, time for questions. Anybody got anything burning they need clearing up? Great. Now gear up and report back to your element leaders in the garage in 5 minutes. Stay safe out there.
Lethal Obsession is a bit of an odd mission because this is where the game goes from like, haha, I can have a little bit of fun with this, to hell, oh my god, what the fuck, difficulty spike. Immediate jump in difficulty. This whole game, it's been like kind of easy, but this mission fucking kicks that shit to 11. You immediately walk out of the room and you have this whole like square area around you that you have to keep on lock the whole fucking time. Because this isn't just the normal like meth head that you were dealing with earlier, or some fucking schizo in the woods, or a just robbery gone wrong like the first mission. These are trained veterans. They know what the fuck they're doing. Most of them have military grade weaponry. Some people have a fucking saw. A fucking M420 saw, and he's just wielding that shit, carrying it around like it's nothing. So, as you're walking through, you have 6 special objectives. The first objective is to arrest the music producer. More like suspend, apprehend, make sure he doesn't die. Next is to apprehend the Navy officer, which, same thing there. Now, you'll have to arrest 3 suspects, given the fact that these are veterans and fucking servicemen. You're not going to be able to do that very easily. Either you shoot them in the leg and they put their gun down, or you tase them, which half the time doesn't even fucking work. Now, on top of that, you also have to find 2 different sniper rifles, as this mission is taking place immediately after a kind of word, something I can't say on YouTube, let's just say game ending in Minecraft of a political leader. So you have to find the sniper rifles and make sure that they are Nerf guns or something along those lines. I'm sure that'll work out, yeah. This next mission is called Sinuous Trail, and it begins with another call.
All right, listen up. We've got a warrant service on a mine job data center in Kalina Beach. It's inland, pretty dusty. It's also pretty dim outside. The facility is located on 52 East Temple Hill Street. We've got multiple entrances for this one. Side 1 will lead us into the lobby, Side 2 contains an access doorway, and Side 4 has a loading bay entrance that leads into the data storage areas. An element on scene has determined that there's a possible entrance on the rooftop that leads down into a second level.
Ready.
Now, we're dealing with a lot of expensive hardware in the structure. As you all know, MNGRL is on the downslope, so we don't expect much recourse if shit gets broken. But we want to be mindful of property damage. It will also limit the capabilities of our cyber crime teams if they have to work with a bunch of destroyed drives. Threats inside the facility are unknown. MNGRL has a security layer that is well armed and on edge. We don't know if these guys have also been paid off by whoever is running the show here. I mean, times are tough, and all it takes is a little money to keep desperate people floating. I want to stress that this facility has had a number of robberies recently, some by individuals posing to be police, and a kidnapping that led to the death of one of the security staff not too long ago. If these guys aren't aware of what's going on at the facility, they could very well be on edge enough to send rounds your way out of fear. If you guys keep it slow, use your compromised authority to bang rooms and limit the security team's effectiveness, we shouldn't have a hard time gaining control of the situation. Because of the prior robbery where the suspects were disguised as police, we're going to have marked units visible, and we're going to start loud hailing as soon as we're in position. If they don't surrender, I take that as a sign that they might know something about what's on that hardware they're guarding. The data center is also running a skeleton crew, so it's likely we've got a couple of civilians within the compound. These guys all look very similar, so check your shots and be mindful of what is beyond your target. Any questions?
Is this tied to that streamer we detained last week?
It looks like it. We scrubbed metadata from the child pornography on his computer that pointed towards this place being the source. Something big is going on here, so we've got to make sure not to damage anything that might get us closer to nabbing whoever's in charge here. Alright, time is tight. Gear up and let's roll out. Rally is on Truman Boulevard and Temple Hills. We'll gather there and get any fresh information from the other element on scene. Thames is also en route.
Sinuous Trail, honestly, is not a mission that is, like, as recognizable as the other missions. Obviously, there's a lot going with it. Just the whole, like, being in a server farm, and the fact that it's, like, a bunch of guards rather than just, like, fucking random guys with guns. But it is kind of the most forgettable of the missions. Like, I had to really go into the game and fucking find the name again just so that way I could remember the game, like the name, because I just could not fucking remember it. It's not bad. It's just compared to all the other missions, like, so far, it's not very memorable at all. It's okay. It's the basic gist of the mission is that this whole thing connects to the like child trafficking of the past couple of missions with 24 megabytes a second, and one of the other missions, and a new mission that we're about to go up next to, and I believe 2 or 3 missions, Valley of the Dolls. This all leads up to that one big mission, which, by the way, that mission is fucking insane. But it's, and then, yeah, it's pretty, it's fuck. So as you're going through MNGRL's facility, you'll go through and you'll see that the fact that they had recently gotten robbed. So during that robbery, they decided, okay, we're going to get a bunch more people to work with us. So they did. And those people are a bit on edge. And for some reason are like, okay, yeah, so the people outside with SWAT vehicles, SWAT all over themselves, they call themselves out as police officers in the first 5 seconds of coming near. We're going to blow their fucking head off. Which, I mean, as a security force, is a really bad idea. Like, such a bad idea. That is like a lawsuit waiting to go down, and also the hundreds of people that probably, like, the 10 people that probably died during that shootout is like, that is going straight into the fucking, like, PMC or whatever they ordered from, or whatever they fucking, like, hired everybody from. That is, like, going straight into their fucking paycheck. But aside from that, as you're going through, you'll eventually find the manager, general district manager, or CEO or whatever. You'll find his computer, and on his computer is an email where he is talking about how he is, like, finding a small area, like a container where he hides all of the illicit cheese pizza or anything pertaining to that, and he hides it in an illicit container, which then eventually, given the evidence, leads us back into the Valley of the Dolls, which we'll get to eventually. This next mission is called Ends of the Earth, and it begins with another call.
Hey everyone, take a seat. Here's what we've got. We've got an interesting one on our hands. The faces you see on your tablets are the Tran brothers. They come from a normal family up in Kauai. I know it's not our usual hunt, but we've got an arrest warrant for all three. An ongoing operation watching a car dealership in North Hills, which is a front for a weapons modification ring. We've got 2 guys on the inside at the dealership, and they noted that a lot of really interesting equipment is coming into the shop and being collected by Tau Tran. These parts are not your run-of-the-mill car parts either. We're talking about everything you need to convert a semi-automatic into a machine gun. These Tran boys are in above their heads and swimming in dangerous waters. The intel we got from inside the dealership is linking back to some large and very dangerous names. These boys don't know what they've gotten themselves into.
What are we looking for in the house?
I'm getting to that. Their eldest, An, is a mechanical engineer. They are getting the weapons from somewhere. He's modifying them in the attic with parts he orders from his North Hills dealership. We don't have the confirmation, but I suspect they are selling them through it too. Things are a little complicated though. The boys live at home still. Their parents are older and retired. The boy's mom, Hui Nguyen, is dying. She's got stage 4 lung cancer. She's the one who called us and gave us the information. Turns out they are struggling for money and can't afford her medical care. Her sons turned their hands to this as a means of getting enough cash to pay for her treatment and help get their dad out of debt.
Shit.
Yeah, and she's bedbound in the house. So when we get in there, we need to move quickly but carefully. I want a small team on the inside, with 2 teams waiting on sides 1 and 3 just in case things go south in a hurry. These boys are going to be armed, but I want to avoid a gunfight if we can do so. The parents will be home, and we have nothing tying them to the guns, but we need to clear that house. Mom included. We'll have an RA on the scene to assist. We need to get into that attic and secure as much as we can. We need the Trans to be taken in so we can learn more about what they're doing and who they're doing it for. Any questions? Any issues? Anything that's been missed? Great. Good luck out there. And stay safe.
Ends of the Earth is a little different. This is the first mission where we're like actually going into like somebody's like suburban home and not like some crazy apartment complex or some like gas station. No, this is a like actual full-on suburban home. There's not really anything super crazy about this. It is super like confined. This whole mission can probably be done in like not even 5 minutes. Like 3 minutes, honestly, if you know what you're doing. Although, obviously, with that being said, you can also get your fucking like, head blown out and fucking officer down. Joy of time happen to you. But, you know, it's pretty quick. This whole mission revolves around a arms dealing scheme going on with the 2 brothers, who are currently trying to pay for their mother's cancer treatments. Which, you know, they did say that she was bedbound, but when I came in, she fucking ran away from me, which, okay, I'm sure adrenaline works, but damn. Alright. So, as you're walking through, you eventually take care of most of the people who are buying from them, right? Eventually, you'll go up into the attic, and that's where they have all of their gun creation products and everything involved in that. And after you get all that taken care of, and also, try and keep the brothers alive. I know that it doesn't give you any money, but lore-wise, autism lore-wise, it gives you some stuff to help with. So, I like to keep them alive, or at least just, like, fucking blow their kneecaps off and just be done with it and put them down and fucking tase them, pepper spray them, fucking beat them a little bit. And then, of course, after all the brutality, and then you put the zip ties on them, of course, as you do, you know. Alright, so is there a reason I look completely different right now? I would like flaunting my ego. Please stroke it off on the internet. Please and thank you. I'm stroking off my fucking character design skills. That's all. Anyways, next mission is called Grease Palms, and it starts with another call.
Listen up. There's a situation unfolding. 2 detectives from Criminal Investigations Unit arrived this morning at the Los Suenos Postal Service on 7th Avenue in East Los Suenos. Their goal was to have a conversation with a customs inspector named Jack Adams. From what we could tell, they became engaged in a firefight on Side 1, the reception area. Our information at this time is pretty spotty. It seems like the shooter was a part of the Los Locos, who have been seen in the area previously. It's unsure at this time whether or not the gunfight was connected to what the detectives were investigating, or if it was a random coincidence. But we're certain that there's more than one shooter in the building. This has been corroborated by a phone call to 911 that we received around the same time as the gunfight occurred. Both detectives have left the scene. One is in critical condition, heading to Yano Memorial, so it's just going to be us going in there. Priority is to find the shooter and his buddies and collect Jack Adams, who is likely still within the structure. We've got to hustle, so I'll keep this quick. The postal facility is big. It has 3 sides for entry. We've got Side 1 with the reception entrance and warehouse entrance to the east. Side 2 with a loading bay access point, and Side 3 with more loading bays. These ones are for bigger trucks, so you may want to be mindful for the height difference there is if any shooters poke their fucking heads out. They might be able to see right over your cover. Your best bet is going to be that main entrance. It leads right into the center of the building, and we can get good domination that way. There's an internal structure within the facility on a 2nd level as well. We don't have any intel on the design of this. It looks like a temporary part of the building. I've also had word from our contact at FISA that they want Adams alive and well. As far as we know, he's not a threat. And I can tell you now that if one of you kills a Fed on my watch, you'll be bagging and tagging evidence down in the lockers for the rest of your time with the LSPD. All right, last part. Rally is on 7th and Laybourne, right near where the freeway begins. We've got additional units blocking off the overpass, and the sniper team is en route. But they're across the city, and it's going to take some time. Let's hustle.
Now, Grease Palms is a bit of a different mission. I know I've said that 30 million fucking times, but this mission is a bit strange because there are 2 points of entry along with kind of literally 0 fucking cover in the entire goddamn mission. You will go out and you will go in to a giant, massive, incredibly sized, huge, ginormous fucking packing facility. This is an insane, like, large packing facility that you only get to explore like half of, by the way. And I died probably like 4 or 5 times just because of the amount of cover in this mission is non-existent. You will go behind something, some guy in some fuck-off raptor 40 feet away has already just fucking eagle dived and just fucking elbowed you in the mouth. It's insane. On top of all of that, you have to make sure that you are fucking either non-lethal, or on top of being non-lethal, you gotta fucking know where to hit your shots. If you're using something like the SR, like I was using, you gotta make sure you aim away, like, from major organs. You just gotta make sure, because you cannot kill about half of the people in here, otherwise you lose out on 500 points, which basically just gives you a C instantly. So, this mission originally started out with you entering what I believe is just like, you know, like your normal post service. As you enter, you're like, okay, blood on the floor. That's a bit strange. You go through the mission, and eventually, as you enter the back room, you will find the dead body of said guy who was bleeding blood throughout the entire... Which, by the way, if you are a criminal organization, by the way, which is what they were doing, they are currently selling arms through the National Postman Service, which... Why would you want to get the government involved with your illegal trafficking of weapons? It's a really bad idea, by the way. But, as you go through, eventually you'll find him. He's injured, not dead. Originally he was meant to be sort of a... not a liaison, but... like a whistleblower on that sort of thing. He was shot by an FBI agent, which is the person that you have to make sure that you always do not kill. There was another lady there, don't exactly remember her name. I believe she is somehow connected to this. I think she might have done something stupid apart of this whole scam. Whatever you want to call it. Don't know if scam is the right terminology here. Now, as you're going through, eventually You'll go through, you'll find out that they're selling illegal arms through just normal, like, USPS, which is fucking insane, but okay. Go off. Eventually, finish the mission, save another guy, who I believe was a packing manager, so he might be able to tell you what he packages, and then you're done. Mission's over. Pretty easy mission compared to a lot of the other ones. This mission does have a bit of a problem with, like, knowing where you are just because of how hectic the map is. But I mean, I've worked in a warehouse, well, quote unquote warehouse, and this is honestly like the cleanest fucking warehouse I've ever seen. So, you know, you know. Anyways, we're back to normal. Now, this next mission is called Valley of the Dolls, and it begins with another.
Eyes and ears, guys. Here's what's going on. This is a large roundup of a potential heavy hitter and the men working for him. This isn't going to be some fucking stroll in the park, boys. We've got an arrest warrant for Amos Vole and a search warrant as well for evidence of the production of pornographic material involving minors.
The adult film guy?
The very same. Our cybercrime team has traced numerous wires from an offshore account that were being sent right to Brixley Talent Time every Sunday for the last 6 years. The shell company that holds this account was established in Bucharest, Romania, which happens to be where Amos's wife is from. She slipped up, and we tied a transaction from the shell company to Amos's personal account. That's about as much as we needed to get the all clear.
Boss, what's the risk level here?
Well, these are definitely going to be the same guys that we saw when we went for Brixley. Lots of ex-military, probably ex-cop. They're well armed, and if the talks the dicks had with them are anything to go by, these guys are also well paid. Threat level's gonna be high.
What's the entry?
Single point of entry on the road that leads to his home, 1962 Irwin Drive. We're up in the hills of Los Clemente. That means a lot of rich people, a bunch of movie stars and directors. Keep an eye on what's past your target if you have to get in a gunfight, because those guys would love a chance to sue the department if they caught some property damage. I should mention, it gets even more complicated. We've got surveillance on the target location now. They're reporting it looks like there might be a birthday party starting for Vol's teenage daughter. I know. Ordinarily, we'd never choose to serve this warrant right now with that going on, but time is of the essence. Somehow the bank's also tipped off police in Romania, who, despite our requests to wait, are set to seize his assets there as soon as the business day starts there. Once that happens, Vol is going to be tipped off and any evidence at the house will be turned into a big pile of ashes.
Are we gonna run into the same problem as the last time where the DA was parked right out the front of the house?
No, this place has some tight security. They'll know we're in there the minute you guys step onto Irwin Drive. Won't be any vehicles blocking the way, fucking up our shit. All right, let's roll. We're gonna be running on our regular channels. Main is TAC 1, backup is TAC 4 Northern. Let's go.
This mission really fucking like grinds my gears. All right, so this mission starts with you being called in for a porn director who is, you know, selling illicit Mr. Beast images. Yeah, topical joke. Yada, yada, yada. Afterwards, eventually, you'll go through the home. You'll find, which, by the way, okay, I need to talk about this again. I know every time I've done a mission that's part of, I can't remember the exact achievement. It's every achievement connects with one different version of the game, or the story of the game. There's one about drug trafficking, arms trafficking, and then now, child trafficking. So that's, you know, pretty fun. But this mission in particular, aside from 23 megabytes a second, is genuinely insane because I know, okay, he has a daughter, right? Recently just turned 18. That's the reason you're here. You're here at her birthday party, which, by the way, unbelievable luck. That is like awful, awful luck. That is so bad. So, You're there at her birthday party. You go through, you're like, okay, I'm going to go through the front door. I feel like going in through the birthday party would be a bad idea, given the fact that there are probably a lot of security guards there. So, either you breach down the door, kick it down, or just, fucking open the door like a normal fucking person. So, you go inside. The first thing you're met with is 2 security guards stationed right next to a mega flat screen TV, probably at least 200 inches, or at the very least, that is 200 inches of TV right there. That is a flat screen Mega XL TV with just porn. Just straight up, illegal porn. Just on your fucking TV. That's insane. You go into the next room, and it's a fucking dungeon. What? That's insane. I know, okay, so you go through, and you find that his wife probably hiding out in there, or at least in the living room, which, by the way, I know that she's part of this. They talk about it in the middle of the call, that she is a part of this, and she is funneling money into her Romanian offshore bank accounts. Still, you have to have a conscience and be like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened? Whoa. Now, you're going through. Eventually, you make your way through. You go downstairs. As you're going downstairs, you see that this whole small area is connected to a singular door in the back room, which is where his main office is. You go into the office, currently either burning papers and also PC parts and memories and a hard drive and basically anything that connects him to the crime that he's committed, he burns it. So, you go downstairs, capture him, or you capture him in his weird basement dungeon. This gets even crazier because the boiler is down there. So that means that if, he is at home, right? And his daughter is like, oh, I'm trying to take a shower, the boiler went out, I've got to go downstairs and I got to fucking do the pilot light. Goes downstairs. And the first thing she sees is a fucking hole in the ground full of children's toys and oil drums that are probably full of bodies. Just gotta head that out there. Currently being cemented up, goes past that, right, to the boiler room and sees a fucking, just, a fucking room. A room that has hundreds of panoramic photos that are just covering the entire fucking room, making up the face of a kid. And then she goes to the next room over, trying to find the fucking boiler room. And it is a child dungeon with a fucking crib and kids' toys. That's fucking crazy. Why would you have that in your home? Do you, you have somebody coming in to repair your fucking water filtration system or your sewage pipe, or you crack something, you break something, and he goes in and he sees this. What the fuck are you doing? Oh my god, I know that there are people this fucking stupid in real life, but Jesus Christ, this is on another fucking level. This is genuinely on another level because he has an entire room dedicated to showing those images and fucking physically taking those images in a Polaroid camera. That's fucking crazy. That's so insane. Oh my god. Okay, anyways, you go through the mission eventually. You deal with some teenagers that, by the way, are just fucking morons. This is part of the game where you realize, Jesus Christ, these people have the brain power of a fucking nematode. You go out and you point weapons at them. 5 people with military-grade weaponry point at some 16-year-old with a phone in their hand. They start recording and saying, fuck you. I can't flip off, I have 3 fingers. They just say, fuck you. And they get shot by the security guards that were there to protect them. This mission genuinely made me lose faith in a fake human being. It's insane.
What's going on?
Now, Afterwards, you capture Amos Fall, which is the director. You take care of the security group, and then the mission is over. You can go home and just fucking crack open a cold one and just figure out what the fuck just happened. Alright, so I do want to put a little bit of a content warning for this mission specifically. This mission is called Elephant, and it has a lot to do with school shooting and terrorism and fucking all the bad shit. So I want to put that out there in case anyone's uncomfortable with that and does not want to watch a little fucking 5-minute, like, shitty fucking YouTube video made by an idiot on the internet. I'll put a timestamp and just skip to that, and you'll get to the next mission, which I forget the fucking name of. Well, I'll remember it later. Anyways, this mission begins with another call.
All right, everybody, settle down and listen up. We've got active shooters in the Watt Community College campus. From what we know right now, they are contained inside the science wing, but we all know that could change. We've had numerous reports coming in, and we know there are victims dead and alive. We don't have time to mess around on this one.
How many shooters are there?
We don't know exactly. The reports have been varied, but we do know there are at least 2, but probably more. 2 campus security officers are at the scene. We don't know where, but we've got their details, and one is former LSPD.
Do we have contact with them?
No. We got the info based on what one of the 911 callers provided, and we don't have time to waste. We need to lock down that wing and close ground on them ASAP. I want you all to be ready. We're working to see if we can find a possible location based on the calls we're getting and the rooms the callers are in, but we're moving fast. If we don't have it when we pull up, we're going in without it.
What are our entry points?
The science wing has 3 main entrances. I want to hit all 3 at once. We're not giving them a chance to get out once we arrive. We've got uniforms coming in too, locking down the campus and doing all the footwork. It should be obvious, but we're going in with lethal force, boys. These assholes are shooting kids. My kid went to this college, goddammit.
So Elephant is a bit of a weirder mission, mostly because in this mission specifically, the people you're fighting against, the suspects, right? Most of the time, in almost every mission from before, all of the hostages were relatively safe. Obviously, you'd have the one or the other, just some random guy deciding to take a hostage up, you fucking blow his head off, right? In this mission, it's a lot more different. In this mission, they're actively searching for the hostages, and they will kill them if you don't get there fast enough. You will hear them screaming and begging for their life in the other room. And if you don't get there fast enough, they will die. They will fucking blow their head off in the middle of the room. You could see on the recording right now, actually, you can see that on all of this, there is currently a body in the bathroom already, like, shot by one of the suspects. So this is a very time-sensitive mission, along with also the fucking IEDs placed around the school as well. This mission can change a little bit depending on, you know, how lucky you are. This is technically an RNG-based mission. I got a very, like, quick, like, there was, I believe, only like 5 people there. Typically, at least the last time I played this mission, there was about like 10 people. There were 3 different bombs, all placed around in different parts of the school. They might have did an update or something with the new Home Invasion DLC, but it used to be like 10 people, a bunch of stuff. They didn't used to kill the hostages, at least not unless you did something fucking stupid like, you know, fucking blow a hostage's head off while you were in like a hostage situation while they had him fucking up against their neck. They shouldn't have done that, but they do now. It's fun. I like the change. It does give it a little bit more of like a realistic feeling, especially since this is the beginning of don't remember the exact name, but it's part of an achievement and like just story-wise area around terrorism, which is going to be the next, I believe, 3 missions. And it does all lead back into one group, and then you take down like a cell of that group, basically. It's good. I like this mission. This mission is very fun. If a little bit like heart-wrenching, because you do kind of just hear people fucking beg for their lives in the other room, and then you hear a gunshot, and then you hear nothing. That is incredibly saddening. And I get A lot of people talk about how Ready or Not is very realistic when it comes to these things, and I truly do believe that. But that's this mission, so yeah. Rust Belt begins with another call.
Listen up, everybody. We've had a location confirmed of an active coyote stash house in Huerto Mesa. We've been following some leads for a while. A source just confirmed that the Los Locos are using this particular network and planning a mass evacuation tonight. We're talking people, products, and cash. We've been given access to the video feeds from the Border Patrol drone, and surveillance is underway. The chopper is fueled and ready for my signal. We have no time to lose here. The good news is, we've got aerial imagery of the site. There's a long road that leads to a ranch the locals call Rancho Dos Sueños. Ironic, right? Who says these losers don't have a sense of humor? The den starts in the backyard, but we need to go through the house to get there. I doubt they've got any traps set up, but we need to move with as much caution as we do urgency. The bad news is that once we hit the tunnels, we're blind as bats. We've got no idea how deep they go, how many branches there are, or where they lead. I know we've dealt with coyotes before, and they rarely give us any trouble, but we're dealing with Los Locos, too. We need to be prepared for anything. We need to bring as many suspects back as we can. I want a small team to sweep the outbuildings and then set up shop in the ranch, just in case.
I'm good if you are.
With everything that we know is being moved through these tunnels, we know the Los Locos won't hesitate to shoot. They are moving a lot of things at once, so it's going to be busy down there. We need to bring as much and as many people back up as we can. The coyotes rarely give us trouble, and the immigrants are mostly just looking in the wrong place for a better life. Cuff them and move on. We have no idea how many people are down there, but intel says it's one of their main tunnels. I don't think I have to remind you that lethal force is only to be used in self-defense or to prevent a situation from escalating. We need to communicate on this one, because we're all going to be blind. Clear details and no chatter. I don't like sending you all underground. Get in, do your jobs, and get back out.
Ready when
Any
you
questions?
Are,
Good. Now get to work.
Okay, so Rust Belt is a bit of a different mission. This mission starts you out in the middle of the desert. You start out on a ranch in the middle of, I don't even fucking remember what they said, which is currently being used by a gang, I believe is called the Coyotes, and they are being used to smuggle people in across the border. The ranch you enter has a bunch of bedding and home supplies and just everything inside of there. As you walk through, eventually you come out the other side, go to the house, probably a bunch of crazy people in there. Crazy as in they want to blow your fucking head off, which, you know, not the normalest thing to do. Now, you enter through, you go into the home, you find a bunch of passport IDs, which are currently being used so that way they can smuggle their way into the country. Now, as you enter through, you go through a very, very, very claustrophobic tunnel. This tunnel is hell. I, surprisingly enough, did this on the fucking first try. That is a first for me because I'm an idiot. I am a complete inept moron. I should have died the second I stepped foot in that tunnel because I tripped and hit a rock. Okay? I'm a dumbass. I should not have beaten that as fast as I did. Now, this mission, kind of quick, honestly. Go through the tunnel. As you go through the tunnel, you have about 3 or 2 entrances typically on either side. I personally do not like to go through the front door because most of the time it's just a giant hallway with 10 people inside that instantly fucking kill you. Much like Arma 3. Now, you go through the building, well, tunnel. As you enter the tunnel, you eventually find your way into a cave system which is currently being used to smuggle people underground and across the border. They have a very makeshift raft, which is a bunch of, like, cast sheet metal, and is currently being used to ferry people across. Now, that is the next piece of evidence, and that's pretty much the whole mission. This mission is pretty quick. I do enjoy it. It is a very fast-paced mission, at least compared to some of the other ones that we're going to get to down the line, especially Neon Tomb. That mission is long, especially the hospital mission. That mission is also pretty long, but it's a nice mission. It's not as memorable as most of them, much like the, fuck, I can't even remember the name now. Sinuous Trail, I believe it was, with Mindjot. That mission was also kind of forgettable. They're in the same sort of thing. They're good. It's just compared to the others in the game, they're not exactly the best. I wouldn't categorize them as like a top 10 of the 16 missions that are in the game. I believe 7. This next mission is called Sins of the Father, and it begins with another call.
All right, listen up. At approximately 3:30, we received reports of a potential situation at the Clementi Hotel. Reports are that the Fremont family is currently sheltering there. Yes, it's the same Fremonts as the politician involved in the shooting yesterday.
How reliable is the source?
Dispatch has the head of hotel security on the line. He was alerted to the situation by one of the Fremont kids. Michael Fremont, age 20, first drew their attention to the situation. He'd been outside returning to the hotel when he reported seeing an unknown number of armed suspects trying to enter the premises via the external fire escape. I don't need to point out to any of you how much the department doesn't need a prominent politician's family being murdered right now. We've got security to put a lockdown in place, and we have visuals in the hallways, but nothing in the penthouse suite itself. We're getting the blueprint sent through, but if they don't get here in time, we'll just have to go in blind. Time is of the essence here. We know there are 6 family members up there, along with several members of their private security detail. We need to get the family out, without any casualties. We're going in with lethal force. We can't afford any fuck-ups on this one. Am I clear?
How are we entering the building, sir?
Right. We're going in 2 ways. I want half of you to follow the suspect's entry route up the fire escape. Get up, get in, get out. The rest of you, I want you inside on the stairs. Clear out any civilians to the lobby. I want you at the penthouse ASAP to get the family members out.
9052, CAD number.
All right, brace yourselves. We're 2 minutes out and have reports of shots being fired. Remember, this is the 14th floor. I want you all up there fast.
Sins of the Father starts you out in a hotel. This hotel has currently been taken over by a veterans group, an extremist veterans group that is currently using their ability to, use firearms to make the senator play nice with them. During this, you are meant to go in, take care of the veterans group, and also make sure that 0 people die. Which, as you can see behind me right now, didn't go well because I, stupidly, blew the back of my teammate's head out, another person's chest open, and the suspect behind him. How a buckshot went through 3 different people and killed 2 of them? I have no fucking idea. That is insane. Anyways, this mission is very quick, although a bit more difficult, as you can see by the 2 dead people. One of them totally not my fault. Now, as you go through, you'll see that this place is very compact and also kind of confusing, because I spent 10 minutes looking around for one guy. Now, you continue going through. There are a lot of people here. This is like when the game starts to introduce a lot more people into the equation. This has around 16 people, I believe. It can change depending on RNG, but it is most of the time going to be 16 people. It is a pretty decent mission, if I'll be honest. The mission itself it's not as forgettable as the other 2. This one is actually kind of memorable. Most of my memories come from the fact that it was fucking impossible to defeat. It genuinely took me like 2 full days to complete this mission, and then I did it tonight, and I fucking completed the entire thing. But yeah, this mission is pretty good. I will say that the veteran storyline is pretty interesting. I like how they go and show, like, this is stuff that is happening in real life, and that this is stuff that can happen if, like, shit does not go this way. This is, I believe, takes place in 2030, so if, like, stuff like this goes on, and people get more and more, like, aggressive with it, this can happen. I like how it is realistic in portraying that these events can definitely happen, and probably have happened before. This is nowhere near similar, and this is like some weird like video essay take, but it does kind of remind me of, in the 1970s, the American Disability Act was passed in the 1970s because multiple people Hell, this counts for basically anything where people were going against the government just for basic human rights. They would sit outside of government buildings for hours on end and just I don't want to like explain it because I feel like that takes away from the people who were actually there, but do read up on how the American Disabilities Act got passed. It's very interesting. I read about it in like 9th grade. It's very interesting. But that's Sins of the Father. It's a good mission. I like it. The story's good. Whole thing. It's a nice kit and caboodle, you know? This next mission is called Neon Tomb, and it begins with a call.
Okay, this is going to be quick and dirty. We've got a suspected terrorist incident unfolding down at the Neon Club. Calls are flooding in of an active shooting inside the club. Calls have confirmed the gunmen shot through the crowds on their way in. A Watch 3 car from Midtown Division was driving past and confirmed the building looks to be secured down, with large vehicles blocking the exit ports, while the entrance seems to be barricaded from the inside. Counterterrorism has confirmed the Hand has already claimed responsibility for the attack. We've also had it confirmed by the cyber team that several shooters are live streaming the attack. Feeds are being cut, but there are channels on the web that operate beyond regular control. We've got LSPD and paramedics en route, and all local hospitals have been placed on alert to receive victims. There's some big-name acts performing tonight, and we all know that Neon isn't adverse to stretching its capacity limit beyond regulation. Don't kid yourselves, this is going to be a bloodbath, so I want you all in there, shutting these assholes down.
What do we know about the situation inside?
Not much. We've got conflicting numbers, but we know at least 4 gunmen are armed with automatic weapons. Early studies of the live stream footage also have at least one wearing what looks to be an explosive vest. They won't hesitate to kill civilians, so we need to stop them before they can do more damage. We can't start saving people until these guys are neutralized. This isn't going to be pretty, so get with your elements and get ready to move.
Neon Tomb is a very interesting mission, and I do want to, again, put a content warning because this does deal with acts of terrorism and mass casualty events. As you can see in the footage behind me, there are bodies everywhere. Entrance, dance floor, club rooms, literally anywhere you can think there will be a pile of bodies. It is genuinely, this mission, along with Elephant, basically anything involving like those 2 missions are heart-wrenching. You can hear the whole mission, as you can hear in the background as I'm talking. There are calls being placed throughout the entire mission to family members, to people who are in the store or club, to people who are in the club, to people who are outside, to people who are even people who gave up their purses and phones. You can hear them being called. It is depressing because you know that if there was a shooting in a club, like God forbid, like the queer club that got shot up a couple years ago, where some people came in and just did the fucking most awful thing possible. Neon Tomb reflects that, in that it is a disgusting loss of life, just shown so like viscerally. You hear people getting calls from their loved ones. You have to save a person with a suicide vest on, and if you don't, it's possible they could die. It's very visceral. And this whole mission, also, aside from the fact that you are walking past the corpses of innocent people, it is still just as fucking visceral in the combat. This whole mission takes place in a club. This club is massive. It is genuinely such a massive club because I believe it runs into an underground complex, which then makes it even fucking bigger. Because you go in, right, and there's a long entry hallway going in towards the main dance floor. You pass through the main dance floor, and then you enter a bath sauna room. Then you go into the next room, and it's a massive fucking hallway that leads into 2 different bars. Then there's a backstage area, and on top of there being a backstage area, it is locked off with so many bodies. On top of all of that, there is an entire second section of this area all related to the top floor, which is another bar, a kitchen, and on top of all of that, another fucking area. This mission is visceral in almost every conceivable matter. It is genuinely, if I can say in like a tier list of like missions of Ready or Not, I think that this one is at least in top 5 just because of how like realistic and visceral it is, but still how like fun it is, because you don't think, oh, this is fucking bullshit, some guy sniped me from the top of the fucking ledge. You think, okay, how am I going to take care of that next time? It is genuinely one of the better missions in the game. And not to say that there are no, like, a lot of these, almost all of these missions are very good. It's just sometimes they can be forgettable because they don't have specific story elements or they don't have something memorable happening in them. Like, some of the stories, like this mission, is incredibly memorable because when you walk inside, hell, when you spawn in and you see the piles of corpses next to you, that is something that will burn into your mind and you will remember that. But that is Neon Tomb. Very good mission. I'd say if you make it there, play it a couple times. It's so much fun. Even without, you know, thinking about the fact that almost probably hundreds of people died during the mass shooting event, which, yeah, that's a whole can of worms to open up. I can like talk actually because I don't have fucking monetization. I don't get paid making these videos, right? I think I have like 12 subscribers. Don't worry. We're fine. I'll get probably fucking age rated or something showing off what the fuck's happening back there. This next mission is called Buy Cheap, Buy Twice, and it starts with a call.
Alright, gather up. We've got a rapidly evolving situation and we don't have time to lose. Detectives from the Auto Theft Task Force were conducting a routine warrant service at Caesar's Cars in North Hills. Something went wrong, and now we've got officers down and a shootout in progress. This dealership has been watched for some time, and the owners are likely using it as a launch pad for the packaging and sale of illegal weaponry. The original intel was that a big deal was going down tonight. With the cover blown, we need to get in and try and salvage as much evidence as we can. We've got no time to waste on this one. We've got 2 main entry and exit points on side 1 and side 3. I want a team on each. Things have already escalated, so we're going in hot. We need to get things under control so that the trailers can get the casualties out of there.
Do we have anybody on the inside?
None of the raid team made it inside. We don't know what happened, but the cover was blown before they gained access. However, 2 detectives are working undercover in the dealership. One we know is now deceased. The other is still alive, but it's only a matter of time if we don't get in there and take control. Okay, we're a few minutes out. Are there any questions?
No, sir.
That's what I like to hear. We're walking into a shitstorm, people. Keep those communication lines open. I want to know what's going on at all times. Now, get ready to move.
Buy Cheap, Buy Twice is a fucking crazy mission. Honestly, this mission has so much cover and enemies and everything all around you all the time. There is something going on. I personally recommend taking the street entrance instead of the alleyway entrance. I think I tried over 6 times in the alleyway entrance to go into the just large, massive part of just used cars. There is almost always 6 people outside, all of them feet away and able to fucking zone in on you immediately through a fucking car window to blow your head off. Instantly. There's fucking nothing. And it's just fucking joy officer down as your fucking game ends. But this mission begins either in an alleyway or the street. As you go through, you're told about how there is a undercover officer who was taken hostage and was executed on their body cam. And you're going to have to find them and take care of all the people and also find the arms manufacturing and the shipping and all the weaponry that are currently being shipped through the used car manufacturing and everything like that. This mission is, it's good. It's part of it's not part of the other 2 games or maps or whatever missions that are forgettable. This one is definitely memorable. It's fun. I like it so far. It's good. I like it. Yeah. This next mission is called Carrier of the Vines, and it starts with another call.
Okay, this is going to be quick and dirty. We've got an officer down and 1 more under fire at the Cherryessa Family Vineyards in Santa Vino. We've all heard the stories about that place, but something escalated. We don't know much about this place, so we'll be going in somewhat blind. Officer Garcia is stranded at the vineyard and taking heavy fire from all sides. Sergeant Perez is dead. LSPD is en route with all available units responding, but we need to get out there and shut it down. The Cherryessa Vineyards have always kept to themselves, but this morning, the LSPD got reports of a group of women from that compound assaulting a male inside a gun store. They fled the scene in a white truck, and the plates traced back to Elaine Raskin. Now, Raskin is an interesting character. She's ex-USIA. She's got a discharge, but everything relating to her is sealed. If she's leading this thing, then we gotta be smart with how we go about everything. The Cherryessa Vineyard is a large complex with 3 primary buildings and also several small outbuildings that pose a threat. However, Officer Garcia is pinned down in the central courtyard. Our primary goal is to get her out of there and then set up a perimeter and try to make contact with Raskin. The layout of the vineyard is being uploaded to your devices right now. Study it as we get moving, because there's no time to waste. There's been plenty of shit shows over the years with incidents like this, and I will not have this being another one. Any questions? Good. Now get your gear and get your ass in a seat. Move!
Carriers of the Vine is a very odd mission. It does start you out in what is like, I thought at first we moved out of fucking LA and just went to fucking Greece at first. But no, this is a cult compound. A cult compound specifically centered around a misandrous cult. This misandrous cult was recently found out for assaulting a man near a gun store, and because of that, 2 officers went up, tried to come to the home. One was shot dead, and the other was caught out in a shootout, which you can't actually find in the game, which I find fucking hilarious. But the reason that this misandrous cult started was because a lot of these women were sexually abused. You can see when you go into the art room that all of the victims that they are currently looking for to fight, attack, kill, whatever they're going to do to them, all of these people have somehow, at least at one point, sexually abused one of the women that were in the game, that were in this whole area, that were in this, like, cult. And that's the entire reason the cult itself started, and why I believe it was an officer of Central Intelligence was the reason that all of that started. Everything is covered in black tape for her. Fucking no idea who she is. Even Nader was a missing woman that got taken up by the cult. But this mission, it's pretty good. It does give you a little bit of like a fucking like freak out the first time you play it, because you'll go through and you'll see, okay, yeah, this is some like cult business. Alright, this is kind of normal for a video game. And then you go through, eventually you'll make it into the fucking like little gardening area, and you'll see some fucking old lady in like fucking Kevlar vest crawl through a fucking vent and like attack you and have a fucking gun in their hand. It's insane. Like, ooh. This game, I remember I specifically played multiplayer of this mission, and it was like 9 people up against a fucking army of old women with shotguns. It was terrifying. This mission is not the most difficult, but it definitely is one of the more fun, at least one of the more fun and memorable of the missions. It's definitely, like, if you want to play this game, definitely look forward to this mission. This mission is very, very good. This next mission is called Relapse, and it begins with another call.
Calls have come in from the Coastal Grove Medical Center of an active shooting taking place. Now, what we know so far is that approximately 20 minutes ago, the first reports came in of a gunman forcing their way into the medical center. Now, initial reports, along with intel unearthed by the cyber crimes team, point to this being the Hand.
Let's get it done.
As if we didn't have enough to worry about, we've also had reports that some of the gunmen are dressed as hospital staff. That means we need to detain everybody. I know, they are not going to be happy about it, but we can't take any chances. We need to get in, lock down the hospital, and restrain anybody in a hospital uniform or who is behaving suspiciously. We know there are multiple shooters, but we don't have an exact number. From the information we've gotten from 911 calls, these guys are shooting anybody they see. If this is the Hand, then it's probably in retaliation to us capturing Quatamont. I've spoken with the anti-terrorism unit. They haven't had any intel on who has taken over. The LSPD is now briefed on securing the perimeter, locking down all entry and exit points. I want 2 teams. One will take the main entrance, and the other will enter through the west rear side entrance by the staff locker room. You've all been sent plans to the hospital, and I want you to study them. This isn't going to be pretty. We all know that. Any questions? Good. Get your gear, get your ass in a seat. Move!
Relapse is probably one of, if not the most memorable next to Neon Tomb, because this is a hospital setting, which you don't see a lot in games outside of like zombie media sometimes. But this mission specifically is very memorable just because of how just like quick it can be over and how quick you can fucking die. This mission starts you out with either the entrance of the main hospital or the ER entrance. The ER entrance is probably the easier of the two. I personally choose the ER entrance, but you can choose the main entrance. Sometimes they'll pop into the cafeteria, other than that. And there are a bunch of people in there, but I find the ER entrance to be the easiest. So, as you're going through the ER entrance, you'll notice, okay, there's a couple people behind, a couple other people hiding around. And then, as you go through, you'll see a man on the right probably shoot you, shoot him, go through, and then as you walk in the back room, you see, okay, that's a doctor, right? That's totally a doctor. You come up, you think it's a civilian, you try and put handcuffs on him, and then he fucking turns around and blows your head off. Instantly. This mission introduces the greatest mechanic of any game, imposters, like that one guy. Now, this mission introduces that part, and it's fucking crazy. You can definitely tell when a person is or is not a, like, doctor. You can tell by the fact that they all cover their face. They always have clothes on underneath their gurney rather than actually wearing, like, doctor clothing or lab coats or whatever you want to call them. You can specifically tell. But in the heat of battle, and some guy's fucking running up to you and be like, hey, I need help. And you try to calm him down, and he fucking pulls a gun out and blows your head off. It definitely is a bit more confusing. This mission also does have a bit of a problem with glitches. I don't know if I want to call them that specifically, but the voice lines for some characters do not match up. Typically, when you have a map, you will hear the enemy voices, and you'll be able to understand that these are the enemy voices, most of the time at least. For some reason, sometimes the voices can get a bit mixed up, and you will blow open a door and shoot some poor innocent hospital worker. That's what I did like 3 times, because the voices kept mixing up and changing. But you'll go through, and eventually you have to arrest one of the leaders. The leader is always in the MRI machine, as he got his ass beat in prison and was eventually set to the hospital to be tested on, made sure he's okay, brought up to the MRI to check for any wounds or anything like fractures or anything broken or just bleeding inside of him. You'll always find him in there, either with help or not. Then you got to go through. A lot of the time it's basically just take care of all of the suspects and then take care of all the civilians and make sure you don't kill any hospital workers. This mission is very good. I like it. I think it's one of the best. It definitely does have a bit of a glitchy part to it with the voice lines and everything, especially since how tight and confined and how many doors there are and how many like layers of hallways there are. It can be quite difficult, and you know, you kind of have a misunderstanding with some of the innocents, but it definitely is one of the more fun ones, and I personally do enjoy it a lot more. But that's Relapse. This is the last mission of the game, and it's called Hide and Seek, and it begins with another call.
All right. I know we're not used to such a crowd, but here's the deal. This case is something that we've all gotten our toes wet on for the last year or so. Thanks to conversations between Reed and some agents across FISA and other agency teams, we've managed to get enough intel to form a picture of what's going on. Following information gathered at the Caesars car dealership in North Hills, we understand that there's a significant transnational deal going down tonight at Port Hoken, right here in the city. It seems that a group of local arms dealers have been stockpiling large quantities of modified weapons to be sent to cartels and smugglers in Mexico, fueling tensions along our border. This group is using a series of Russian container ships to haul cargo all across the western seaboard. We've located and traced cargo arriving at Vancouver and all the way down to Colombia. This is a big operation. We estimate over $1 million worth of product every few weeks in exchange here. It's been going on for quite some time. Most, if not all, of the cargo is coming out of this singular point of exchange at the port of Los Sueños. Now, we're not entirely sure where the cargo is being held. The port is a busy place. It's running day and night. There's a lot of fucking activity going on, and it's about 7,500 acres of space. However, we've managed to isolate it down to 3 terminals. Reservation Terminal A, or Warehouse 1 area, Terminal D, and Terminal J. LSPD will take Terminal A, HRT will focus on Terminal D, and ATF is on Terminal J. THU will be on standby for aerial support, but we want to keep this quiet until shit goes down, so expect a 10 to 20 minute delay, best case if the weather holds. We're looking at the worst time to launch this, folks. Antonio is making landfall tonight. It's gonna get bad. Now, rather than slow things down anymore, each of your individual leads has the exact details of what we're doing. It'll brief you all individually as you head out. I don't think there's a need for me to stress how important this mission is. Gear up! Report back to your element leaders in the garage in 5 minutes.
So I'm going to have to put up a little bit of a content warning for this mission. This mission involves a lot of, like, sex trafficking and just stuff like that. Like, literally in the first 5 minutes of you going outside of the spawn area, you are met with a just trailer full of just missing persons completely naked because they're actually being auctioned off at this fucking place. Which, by the way, I get that workers sometimes don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Alright, I don't. Nobody does. But if you are a actual dock worker, you have to check trailers and make sure that everything's working perfectly fine. I don't think that they did, because the second I went inside, it was a trailer full of barbed wire, mannequins, fucking everything crazy shit, and just starving people inside, and some random gimp who was dressed up in full latex gear, by the way, like that fucking guy on TikTok who's in that latex balloon shit. You'll enter in, and you just see a fucking auction house inside of a fucking trailer. It's insane. And then you'll see on the, like, rows of, like, keyboards and everything, you'll see that it's just a bunch of people like, yes, of course, I'll buy that person, even though there's fucking literally nobody up there. And then they see that the SWAT just raided in, and they fucking, like, punch their camera and run away. It's a good mission. I like it personally. It definitely is a bit of a confusing one at first, because this mission is a lot more open. This mission is one of those missions where you'll be like, okay, most missions, you might be able to get a little bit or two of captures, or maybe even like a taser once in a while, but this mission is fucking open field. You do not want a shotgun for this mission. You need a rifle, and a good fucking rifle, because there are so many enemies. They're fucking everywhere. They will see you no matter where you are, and they will start fucking firing. I walked outside and immediately took a fucking shot to the gut. You're gonna get fucked if you do not have some sort of long-range weaponry, or at least a ballistic shield. Now, this mission has, I believe, 7 objectives, which is one of the largest. It is the auction house, the missing women, the weapons case, and the drug trafficking, and then also suspects and civilians. This mission does have a little bit more of a story going on, much like Carriers of the Vine. This mission has a story that not a lot of missions actually have. Most of the time you'll go in, get a thing done, and then you're out. This time, you actually have something happen with one of your objectives. One of the objectives being the missing women. When you open the missing women, you're supposed to be like, okay, hey, what the fuck is going on? Your character itself is talking to Talk 1, which is the, like, main group of, like, leaders and, like, everything going on, like, talking into the ears of the SWAT to let them know what's going on. You talk to Talk 1, and I think it's Paisa takes over? I can't remember the exact name, I believe, or Fisa. Fisa takes over. Fisa is, I believe, Homeland Security of this universe? Something along those lines. They are trafficked women that immediately, as soon as you talk to Talk 1, they hear it over their headphones. FISA comes in and is like, hey, you better fucking lock that door, make sure nobody gets out. So you immediately lock that door and you get fucking pissed because obviously if you want to help those people get out, you're not going to just leave them there and lock the door and just fucking go away. You're going to fucking try and help them. But FISA calls in, you have like no jurisdiction compared to them. One lone SWAT officer against a fucking government operation is not going to do much. So, hide them away, lock them up, take care of everybody else, and then you leave. This is where the game leaves off. There's no like end cutscene or anything that lets you know what's going on. There's no like special ending. There are credits, but when I tried to use the credits, it just didn't fucking work, and there was like it was just a black screen with nothing on it. But eventually, you finish the game. The game's over. And that's Ready or Not. I have a little segment here just to like let people, see people. Specifically, I've got a friend, Bracken Cut. They're a cool artist. This is some of their art and everything. And then also my friend Guzmophobia, who also has a bunch of cool art, some music, all of their stuff. I will leave all of their links in the description. Definitely go check them out. They're a lot more talented than I am making these stupid fucking videos. But yeah, By the way, closing notes. Any developers or anything that have seen this video, add my persona to the game. I don't know.